Welcome back to another YouTube video. This one's going to be about another topic on Starcraft 2, namely how to respond to getting your Nexus blocked when you're trying to do a one-gate expand opener in the mirror matchup. Let me get into the replay. This is on the North American server against a 5200, he's almost 5300 MMR Protoss player. I'm in the bottom right corner. I'm the red player. So I'm not going to try and explain how to do a one-gate expand opener because I'm just trying to talk about how to do the response to getting Pylon and Cybernetics core blocked. So this is going to be a short topic. So we send our first probe down to the natural and we build the Pylon. I'm going to go a little bit faster here. We scout when we build the gateway so that we can get across the map and block our opponent if they're trying to expand as well. Because if you don't send this probe on the gateway scout and they're trying to expand, they'll expand at the same time as them blocking you, and that puts you in a really horrible position. So when I passed his probe in the middle of the map, right, like around here, our probes passed each other. I noticed it on the mini-map, and the response is to continue making probes. You make your second gas geyser, and you make your second pylon before the cybernetics core, okay? And this is because you really want to continue building probes while also getting the zealot and the cybernetics core. So we build the cybernetics core, and our probe is going to chase his probe around. I tried pretty hard here to put extra damage on his probe to force him to build the pylon. You don't have to work so hard. You can just follow his probe and go about doing other stuff. I spend my second chrono boost when I start my zealot. And I try to always have a probe follow the enemy player's scout probe. Because as you can see here, I'm in his base with my scout probe. I know he has 1, 2, 3 pylons. So I know he's not proxying anything right now. I'm going to go to just my vision so that I can detail better what I'm talking about. So I looked here and I saw that he had a gateway unit and the cybernetics core started. He's researching warp gate, so I know I'm even more assured that my opponent is not proxying him. And then the third thing that really lets you know that your opponent is not all-in you off of one base is they'll build their cybernetics core. Because if they wanted to all-in you, they would only block with the pylon and maybe build the cyber and then cancel it. But usually they just don't have enough money to have a proxy location built out on the map and do the cybernetics core block and make units. So I make my Stargate right away, right on that second pylon. And like I said earlier, it's really important that your second gas geyser and your second pylon start right away when you know that your opponent is on the way to your side with a scout. Because if you don't start this second pylon and the second gas geyser right away, number one, you're going to start your zealot and you're going to be supply blocked, or you're going to start your zealot and your probes are going to be supply blocked. And this is what you really want to avoid happening. So we've got our zealot and our probe killing the cybernetics core. I have my probe in his base, and right before his unit is about to finish, I build a pylon here so I can see what the units are that are coming out, okay? And I'm looking and I see his stalker, and I'm waiting until the last second because I have nothing else to do right now besides build probes. I see his sentry come out. I know that my opponent isn't gonna like immediately all in me with like a proxy robo or something like that. So I feel comfortable making oracles. If I had seen 2 stalkers come out of here, I would have made a void ray instead of an oracle and started a shield battery right away. So I'm killing the cybernetics core. I send my adept in here, and because he has a sentry, I go for killing the sentry, okay? If there's not a sentry, you're gonna just avoid getting your oracle or your adept killed. The adept is worth sacrificing if they have a sentry, because it cuts your opponent off from being able to scout you, because he's gonna rely entirely on the hallucinate scout to scout me. So if you either force him to use the energy or kill the sentry, he can't get the hallucinate scout really early, so he's going to be unaware of my Stargate units, right? Like, he knows that I have a Stargate, so he's making a shield battery, but he's unaware of whether or not I'm making oracles or phoenixes or void ray. I'm going to stop right here, right? And I'm going to look at the probe count. So if we look at the probe count here at 3 minutes, I'm at 28 workers. My opponent is at 22. And it's because he spent the 100 resources on a Pylon and the 150 resources on a Cybernetics core and 150 minerals on a second gateway. And then he got his expansion before me, right? His expansion is about 10 seconds ahead of mine. And he's paying for the Nexus by not building probes for the last minute. And this is always a bad thing. So when you get blocked like this, it's always better to continually build probes non-stop while you're still on one base, as long as your plan is to expand. If you don't plan to expand, you can cut workers. But if you plan to expand, always continue making workers, because this income difference between us right now is really huge, even though his Nexus is 10 seconds faster than mine. So I make my second Oracle, and I Chrono Boost it, and then after I build my second Oracle, I will build a second Gateway and a Twilight Council, or a second Gateway and a Robotics Facility. I was pretty certain that I'm okay to not build a Robotics Facility, because my opponent had a sentry, so it means it's very much less likely for him to be super overly aggressive. I send the Zealot out to scout proxy locations. You can do this, or you can just leave it at home. It's not a big deal. I did not get to see if he had his natural Nexus when I did my Adept Shade, and I definitely could have seen his natural Nexus when I did my Adept Shade. So I send the Adept here, and I don't look to see if he has the Nexus. I just go straight for the Sentry, because I sent the Shade in and didn't look back. I didn't look back at it before it was finished, or I would have been just looking to see his Nexus started. So I'm a little worried that he might be all-inning me. I'm going to go back to the point where I have the Twilight in the second Gateway. I finish my second Oracle, okay? And I send these across the map. And we're looking to maybe kill something, but definitely envision something right now. And like I said, we're just trying really hard to have probes building nonstop. I made a third Gateway because I knew that my opponent was pretty committed to Stalkers. I come in here with my Oracles. I zap some probes. If his Stalkers are in position, right? Like if there's 2 or 3 Stalkers here and you fly your Oracles in, don't lose an Oracle, because it's very important for these to stay alive and sit in the dead airspace outside of the enemy player's base, because it will force him to leave units at home. This is actually a very important part of this opener, because if you'll pay attention here, I have 2 Stalkers and he has 5 Stalkers. And he's going to have an advantage in the number of Stalkers that he has for a really long time, because he had 2 gateways while I had 1 gateway for a really long time. So I keep my Oracle alive, and we keep it outside of his dead airspace, and it forces him to stay at home. So he's making an extra gateway. I'm going to go back to my vision. I'm going to try not to go too fast. And I'm only going to go to about 6 or 7 minutes, right? So my Oracle's purpose now is to see if my opponent starts at third base. That is like the main directive of your Oracles. You're not trying, after the first poke, you're not trying to go get damage anymore. You're like, hey, these units exist. You better respect the fact that these Oracles exist and leave units in your mineral line, or you're going to lose a lot of probes, right? So what I do here is I just come in and I envision, like, hey, let's make sure that his units are here. I need to make sure, right? I'm not starting my third base right away because I'm unsure of whether or not my opponent is going to be aggressive, but that's what the Oracles are for. And because I'm not sure if he's going to be aggressive or not, I warp in off of my gateways constantly. I, like, as much as I can remember to use the warp gates, I'm using them, because I'm not trying to save resources to build the third base before he does. Because I know I have an eco lead right now because I got 5 worker kills with my Oracles. I didn't know that I was ahead because of the earlier stuff that happened where he cut workers to make his Nexus, but I know that I'm in a lead, right? So we get our Forge, we get our +1 attack, and I end up losing my Oracle to his units as he moves out. And even though it sucks to lose the Oracle, I know that he's moving out now. And that's more important than the Oracle being alive, because now I know don't build your third base and make 2 extra gateways, right? Because we know he's super aggressive, that he's going to be very dependent on the attack that he's doing to do something, because he's behind economically, and he's trying to lean on the fact that he has a couple more units than me right now, and he doesn't even have more units than me right now. So I'm going to stop the analysis here. The rest of this game plays out with me turtling on my 2 bases, because I know that I'm ahead, and I pay a lot of attention to whether or not my opponent gets +1 attack. And then I just build my lead from there, right? Because I'm ahead 12 workers right now, and he has to win the game with this push. And he can't really do that pushing up the ramp into the natural. He can only do that if I took a third base. And I spent most of the game looking to see if he had extra gateways. Number 1, right? Like, I envisioned here, and I saw that he had an extra gateway. So I knew aggression was on the way. And number 2 is I went and checked the third base locations, and we see no third base. So we know to just hang out and defend against our opponent. From this point, I defend this attack for quite a long time. Don't be worried that your third base isn't getting laid down super fast. Just try to get extra gateways built up. You'll see here, I'm actually over-focusing on controlling my gateway units, and I end up not building more gates right now. Like, I have 500 minerals floating, and that should be 3 more gateways getting built right now, so that I can defend this attack better. Thank you very much for watching this video. If it was helpful or instructional, please leave a like and a comment. I would really appreciate that. If you could go follow my Twitch as well, I live stream every day. I play Starcraft, I play lots of RTS games, and I appreciate any and all support. If you have any specific questions about other things in any of the matchups for StarCraft, please let me know, and I can make videos about that for you.